Sick.
There's some room on this side. Scoot over. Goodness. All right, these guys are going to share, starting down the line. Amir, you're first. Want me to start on that side? Okay. She looked like she almost died right there. So each one of them is going to share. They got about 3 minutes because we got to get out of here before lunch. Mr. Olvera, I just saw, there he is. He went with us for part of the trip. Everyone wave. He's going to come up and share a few thoughts. He didn't know that, but now he does. And Mr. Hibbs is on the way. He'll be sharing a little bit too. Woo! Caleb, you start us off.
Okay, and so this Lions Week has been more of a learning experience for me. One thing I've learned about adventures this past year is you learn so much about yourself, and that the world is a lot bigger of a place than one would originally think. So one thing I learned is that I had some things that were as high in importance in my life as my relationship with God, and it was my instrument. And so I hadn't had a break from playing my instrument for I think at least over 3 days for nearly 2 years. And so having to have a break from it for a week, I got to see just how much I loved and enjoyed it, and that it was equivalent in importance with my relationship with God. And so it was a week where I lifted him higher, and I also I talked about it at the campfire, this verse that's been on my mind, where always learning but never coming to the knowledge of understanding. I really just had such a desire to understand the love of God and to grow in understanding of the other things in the Word and the Bible. It was a fun week, and I learned a lot more than that, but that's what I will share.
Okay, so I wanted Lions Week to be like a breakaway, a break from like everything like school, my job, dance and everything, just to be super relaxful. But I also I wanted God to really speak to me about my future and just bring clarity for what I want to do. And so Friday night, we were worshiping, I think, and the very first prayer that I had was like, God, please tell me what you want me to do for my future. And I would pray that every morning. We did devotion, and then Saturday night we did devotion as well. And then Sunday we went to Upper Room, and we were getting ready to worship, and I was like, okay, God, you haven't even said anything yet. I know we've only been here for 2 days, but could you please speak to me about what you want me to do for my future? And we didn't say anything yet. So we were worshiping, and we were singing a song, The Highest Praise, and I just felt like he was like, okay, so even if I tell you, even if I give you answers, will you give me the highest praise if I don't? Just like, will you continue to press in and pray to me and worship, like however hard you're worshiping right now to get answers from me, will you still praise me that much? And I was like, will I? But I think I don't know, it kind of just like awakened something in me. Like, I always press into worship when I really need something from God, and I just he was like, no, I really need you to just always give me the highest praise, even when you don't need anything, when you're just there to be with me. So I think over Lions Week, that was just really what I was just really trying to praise God for everything and just be with him through everything the whole week.
So I probably didn't get as big of a revelation as most of my fellow classmates up here. But while we were working and serving these people who needed help, I guess I just had some sort of a revelation that these people don't really know the love of God. They always, when we give something, they always think that they need to give something back. And we're just showing how that's not how God's love works. He gives and he doesn't ask for anything back. And so just tearing up a porch and replacing it with new wood, jacking up a house, doing the simple act of cleaning and clearing out someone's front lawn, it just shows God's love, and that was very nice.
This Lions Week, not gonna lie, kind of been dreading Lions Week since like the school year started. So, yeah, just put me like way out of my comfort zone. I feel like, and I feel like that just forced me to rely on God more and just to seek Him out more intentionally and just, I don't know, come to Him with everything, like how I was feeling, and and so yeah, I think. And then I just felt God urging me to trust Him more and just give Him more of myself in aspects that I didn't really feel like, just didn't want to bring God into. So I just was trying to work on that, just trying to give God more of me and just to let Him have complete control over my life. And that was pretty scary, but still working on it. But yeah, that was a good Lions Week.
So the Lord really just spoke to me on like how we as believers are really family. And I had a pretty bad week the week before, and just due to circumstances, I was just mentally checked out. And then the Lord just really highlighted how my classmates and other believers who I'd never met before were really family to me. And it really just brought me back to a mental place where I was able just to focus on Him. And on Tuesday, we had an open night worship in downtown Tyler. And I was walking around taking pictures. I just wanted to capture how everybody was worshiping. And there's this little girl climbing a tree, and her dad went to the bottom of the tree to talk to her. And it really just highlighted, like, the Lord spoke to me in how He's our Father, and we're up in a tree. And He's wanting us to jump down to Him, and He's going to catch us. And, like, if we jump, He's not going to let us fall. So why are we not jumping? And it's like, it really highlighted me, like, sometimes when you're a kid, you're scared of falling, so you'll just try to slide down the tree. You'll try to, like, make sure that it's soft. But the Lord wants us to, and that, like, that what it spoke to me was, like, we're trying to hold on to something that we don't want to jump off of. We don't want to be away from. And so the Lord was saying, just jump to me, I'll catch you, and everything's going to be all right.
Okay, so I'm going to share like two things. But the first thing, so at Upper Room, we started singing Come and Let Your Presence. And she started, we probably sang that song for like 20 minutes. But she started singing the It's All For You, Here We Are, and I just started bawling. Because I felt so honored to be with this group of people that we've pursued Jesus together since, some of us since we've been in first grade. But we've been pursuing Jesus together this whole time through crazy high ups and crazy low downs. And just that Jesus, this is all for you. And here we all are. Like, we're all still here, and we're all still here to love you and pursue you and worship you. And it was a really powerful moment. So that was kind of a theme that I was feeling over the trip, just like everything, like the way we've lived, all the good times, bad, like it's all been for him. And he's so worthy of that. So that was like my first thing. My second thing, so at Six Flags, second ride, first roller coaster is the Batman. You guys know what the Patriot is at Worlds of Fun? It's like that, okay? So we're sitting, we're dangling. Trinity's like about to pee herself. You know, we're all like super like excited. And I thought to myself, I was like, do you think my phone's gonna be okay? Like, it's in my back pocket. And I was like, it's fine. There's no like bag in front of you to put your phone in. There's nothing that says like, secure all your valuables or anything. So I was like, it's fine. I'm sitting in a bucket with like a entire thing hanging on me. So I was like, it's gonna be cool. And I walk off the roller coaster, and we're like, I can't even walk straight. I was like, just falling over. And I got out, and I like pulled out my phone because I was mapping us to Mr. Freeze was next. And I was like, I don't have my phone. I was like, I think it fell out. So I walked back to the roller coaster. There's like a gate, right? So I asked the lady, I was like, I lost my phone. Have you seen a red phone? She's like, no, I don't think so. She walked away. I was like, okay. So I like waited around. I went to talk to like the dude who was working there, and I was like, I think I lost my phone on the roller coaster. And he's like, it probably flew off. And I was like, what? And he's like, yeah. He's like, it happens. I was like, okay. Like, where do I, like, what can I do? He's like, well, you can talk to security. And I was like, okay, you're being absolutely useless, but I'll go talk to security. So my dad and I went to go talk to security. We had to find it. It was hard to find. And we finally found it. They're like, go to Lost and Found. So we walked to the Lost and Found, which is actually outside the park. But at a certain point, you can't come back into the park once you leave. And so we asked this guy, the poor guy who was restocking sodas, we're like, can we come back into the park after we go out? And he was like, oh, shoot. And then strings of obscenities. And he's like, I don't know what to do. And we're like, okay. Anyway, we got all figured out. We went to the Lost and Found. I told them that I had a clear case on my phone. The guy wrote down that I have a clear phone. And then we walked away. And I felt okay about it. I was like, I'm going to find my phone. It's going to be fine. The next day, we happened to be so Dallas is an hour and a half away from where we were staying. So we happened to be in Dallas again because we were going to upper room. And we hadn't gotten an email that they found my phone. So I was like, hopefully they'll find it later. They can ship it to our house or something. I was hoping it wasn't like obliterated. And then my dad called them and was like, have you found a phone? And they're like, no, we don't have a clear phone. And I was like, nobody has a clear phone. But my dad's like, no, it's actually red. And they're like, oh, we have a red one. So they got it. Mr. Olvera and this guy named Brad, who we all love, went to go drive and get it. And my phone is like completely fine. There's not a single scratch on it. My case was $2. Like, it should not have saved my phone from flying off a 55-mile-an-hour roller coaster, but it did. And so that was just God's kindness. And I really felt that over this trip. Like, I just felt like God was so kind to us. We came back that night, and the event that we were going to is called the Red Balloon event. And for those of you who don't know, red balloons are like kind of a thing for me. And it's how God tells me, like, that he sees me, he loves me, he cares for me. So that was just pretty crazy. It was an amazing trip.
I definitely looked at the mic and I was like, oh my gosh, it looks super sweaty, but it's just the gloss, just in case y'all were wondering. For me, Lions Week was pretty cool. I was super excited to be able to go down, and all the fun stuff was, of course, fun. It's in the name, fun stuff. But for me, this trip, really the Lord highlighted two things. It was trust and obedience. Essentially, pretty much every day he was like, hey, guess what? I'm like, what? Do you think you trust me? And I'm like, yeah, I probably trust you. He was like, you want to go do this? I'm like, no. He's like, oh, you don't trust me. I'm like, great. Glad we got that out of the way. But it was a long process of the Lord like, hey, you can trust me. Like, guess what? All of these things I'm asking you to do, however crazy they seem, even if I asked you to give up everything that meant something to you in your life, it's actually because I care about you and because it's going to be better for you this way. And so the trip was pretty much just me wrestling that out with God. And one part of the Bible that really stood out to me was like when Jesus was talking with his disciples, and he was like, hey, guess what, Peter? Who do you say that I am? And his disciples were like, oh, some say you're a prophet, some say you're Elijah or one of those two. And then he's like, yeah, but who do you say that I am? And Peter was like, in a moment, just like, you're the Son of the Most High God. Jesus says, blessed are you, because that wasn't you, that was God who revealed that to you. But I felt like the Lord asked that of me. He was like, hey, kind of in a different way, though. He's like, okay, I've heard you sing like you're worthy of it all. I've heard you say that you're worth that I'm worth everything to you, but are you willing to show it? And so I don't think I went into a single worship period that entire trip like starting by feeling God. It always started off super dry, like, oh my gosh, I kind of don't want to be here, but I'm just going to do it anyways. And the beautiful thing is I never left a moment of worship not feeling the presence of the Lord and not feeling how near he was. So in one sense, it was a super difficult trip because it was just wrestling with God all the time. It was fun, yeah, but it was a difficult trip spiritually. But the Lord never left me dry. He never left me hanging. Like, he was always there. He was like, I'm always going to meet you halfway. If you show up on your end, I'm going to meet you there. And even if you don't show up on your end, I'm still going to be faithful to you. So that was Lions Week.
I was looking forward to Lions Week for weeks in advance, and I was super excited for Lions Week. Like, I was so excited for, like, everything that the Lord would do, and I was so hoping that he'd encounter me and my classmates. And I went into Lions Week super excited, and we're having fun. But like literally the whole week, I was so dry, and it was terrible. Like I was still having fun, and it was a good time, of course. But like every time in worship, I just felt so dry, and it's like twice as hard when your friends are encountering God and you're not, and you're just sitting there, and you're like, I don't feel anything. And that part of it was really, really hard for me. And also, like, towards the end, I started feeling more and more, like, emotional. Maybe that was lack of sleep, but, like, all pain and hurts in my heart from the past and current started, like, coming out. And it was painful because I was emotional, and then I wasn't feeling God, and it was kind of hard. And, but, I mean, the last night we had a campfire, and that campfire was just amazing. We're worshiping the Lord, and I felt his presence, and it was amazing. But I had a conversation with a friend, and I was just like working through some of my like hurt and pain inside, and I was like I forgive all these people, you know, but like it still hurts, and like what do I do with the pain, you know? And I didn't have the answer until last Sunday at the Easter service at our church. We were talking about Jesus and the resurrection, but one verse he highlighted was by his stripes we are healed, and that really got me, because then they were talking about healing, and that because I couldn't think of like where in the Bible it talked about healing, and that verse meant a ton to me, like that we are healed by like Jesus' stripes, like him dying on the cross for us heals us. It's not like a counselor, medicine, none of that heals us. It's Jesus' stripes on the cross. And that was really impactful for me this Sunday. And it was really cool because someone prophetically was like, for you guys out there, like the Lord's going to heal you guys. And that was really cool for me. Even though that necessarily didn't happen in Lions Week, it happened later, but it was awesome.
Okay, so like all of Lions Week was just sort of a big journey in humility for me. But there was Sunday, we went to church at Upper Room, and the worship was crazy. It was super awesome. But there was one chorus that was like, Hosanna in the highest, behold the King is here. And they sang it for a really long time. And like the second they started singing it, I got chills. And I felt the Lord, and he was just like, yes. And he was so happy. And I realized that most of the time, like we hear the King is coming or the King is near, but he was saying, no, like I'm here. And even like my own mindset has sort of been like the King is coming, but he was like, I'm your King now. And like I sort of just got on my knees and was bowing for like a very long time as we worshiped. And then there were like a few days where we were serving. So like that moment was super humbling, but then there were a few days where we were just serving and doing stuff. And there was one morning before we all split up into different groups to go and serve, and Morgan, the YWAM guy, gave he gave his entire like little spiel that I don't really remember. But basically we got into groups or pairs, and we sort of just prayed about what the Lord wanted to work on with us throughout that day and the rest of the week. And I felt like the Lord was telling me that he wanted me to be humble and serve. And I was like, okay, like that's the plan, like all we're doing today is serving. But he showed me that most of the time when I serve, I'm just sort of doing what I was told, And like even the day before, I was kind of just like, they told me to do something, so I did it. And it wasn't that I had a problem with it, but I just wasn't doing it to serve the Lord. I was just kind of doing what I was told to do. So yeah, I mean, the whole thing was just like a big humbling experience, but it was really good.
Hello. So this is my first year at TDA, and so I didn't really know what Lions Week was, and I didn't know what to expect at all. But yeah, God just did a lot in my heart that week. So for a while, this school year, I've been in like kind of a season of like spiritual staleness, and I've been like praying and like waiting on God to just like break in and like help me step out of that and like have a relationship with Him. But and so on Sunday we were at Upper Room, and we were just worshiping, and I felt God's presence, and I wasn't really wanting an encounter or anything. I was just wanting Him to help me step out of that. And then I heard Him speak to me, and He said to me, "I'm tired of waiting." And He just told me that he wanted to be with me now, and like I didn't have to do it all on my own. And yeah, it was like a tear show after that, but a tear show. And but He just highlighted a lot to me that week. He showed me how fun and joyful and honoring it is to worship Him. And He showed me how to just like use worship and use praying and like talking to Him to what am I trying to say? Like whenever I feel like after the trip, like whenever I just feel I'm in a bad mood, or I just feel dull or empty or whatever, I can just I just pray and I worship Him, and He comes and He takes me out of that. And so I'm just learning to walk in that and trust Him, and it was really good. It was a really great week. Yeah.
So I had a lot of expectation for this trip, just because year after year I've watched so many juniors and seniors come back and share their stories and testimonies, and also because our trip last year got canceled. But honestly, I can say that I think this trip met every one of those expectations that I had. Not only did we have just an insanely fun time at Six Flags and visiting Upper Room and eating at all these places, the Lord really met my heart in a lot of fear. The day before we left for the trip, I was just really struggling with fear, specifically, like just life after graduation and all that fun stuff. But one day, we are getting a tour of the YWAM base, and the Tyler, Texas base is, along with Kona in New Jersey, it is one of the biggest bases in the world. And it's kind of interesting because they have people from YWAM that started other ministries, so they're like a part of YWAM, but they're not exactly YWAM. So, this is taking us like all day, and we're getting a tour of the base. And Wes, the guy showing us around, Wes is, we're driving to all these different places and getting out, and he's sharing these stories. And every story he's sharing, he's telling of these people. And in every story, this guy or girl or whoever it was that started the ministry, they all had this simple yes to Jesus. And then Jesus took their yes, He took their simple obedience, and He birthed these beautiful ministries that we were standing in front of, and that were touching the lives of hundreds of people, if not thousands, all over the world. And throughout the trip, I don't know if it was Kay or Mr. Lee, but they were sharing this kind of just this picture of how we are supposed to take these things in our heart, whether they're good or bad, even that simple yes, and we lay it at the altar. And if we're supposed to have that thing or do that thing, the Lord is going to be faithful to give it back. And so just seeing those ministries and hearing them explain that, my heart was just really ministered to by the Lord. And I felt like He took a lot of these fears, and He just asked me if I was ready to lay them down and if I was ready to dream with Him again. And life is just going to be so beautiful as long as we have this yes in our heart, and as long as we're walking in that simple obedience of whatever He calls us to. Like, life is going to be so fun and so amazing, and there's no reason for us to be afraid of it, because he's going to take that yes, and you don't know what he's going to do. It's going to be crazy, and it's going to be big, and it's going to be beautiful. And so yeah, I love this trip so much, and it was such a blast being with everyone and going to Buc-ee's, and
Buc-ee's was amazing. I don't even know where to start with this. This trip was awesome. I feel like my perspective on a lot of the things that I'd had misconceptions about for like the past 17 years were changed during this trip. And I realized that like Christianity is actually something that you really, like it's something that you want. And Jesus is something that you want. And it kind of sounds like a big statement, and it is, but I had always seen people say like you have to give everything up to God, like you have to give him everything, like your life is his. And I always thought that looked like me not being able to pursue the things that I want, or me not being able to live my life to the fullest and enjoy the things that I enjoy that aren't like Christian, like even just like playing sports or playing music or whatever, like literally anything you enjoy. I thought I wasn't going to be able to do that to the fullest if I was giving everything up to Jesus, but I realized that in his hands, he can take the things you love and he can make them so much better than you could. Like he can hold it so much better. And it doesn't always look like you not being able to do what you want, because he enjoys what you enjoy. And he loves watching you be happy. And if playing guitar makes you happy, then you can take that and you can give your whole life to that and be the best guitar player you can be. But it's not going to be as good as you giving that gift to him and being like, hey, God, like take this and make me the best guitar player that you can make me. Or if it's not guitar, if it's a sport or literally anything you enjoy, he can make your life so much better than you can make it. And living with Jesus and like the daily communion with him doesn't just look like you sitting in your room and reading your Bible and not doing anything that you enjoy. It looks like you giving him everything and just being like, hey, like you can hold this better than I can. And that takes a certain level of trust, but once you see it happen in like the little ways, you can really trust that it's going to happen in the big ways too. And I think that was a big thing that I just had been viewing wrong about just my walk with God and what it was going to look like. I thought that me really choosing him and me giving everything up looked like me losing everything. But just because it's not in your hands doesn't mean that like you don't get to enjoy it. You don't get to really get the fullness of it. Because his fullness is so much better than what we can make it if it's in our hands. Because his hands are so much bigger than ours, and he can carry our dreams and our life and our hopes and what we enjoy. He can carry that so much better than we can. And really trusting him and giving him everything, you'll realize that his capacity for love and his capacity for greatness and making things better is so much better than our capacity for that. And I feel like I kind of realized that this trip. There's a lot of things leading up to it, but just the worship time and just being in a place where people really did that. They gave their life to him, and they chose to go on missions and give up whatever dreams or desires they had. They chose to give that to him, and he gave it back. And he was like, not gave it back, he's holding it, but they're experiencing the fullness of that. And being in that environment with all the people doing that was really amazing. And I feel like it just kind of helped me see what that can look like and what the beginning of that needs to look like. I don't know, it was really cool. It was a great trip.
Okay, so if I'm gonna be totally honest, the first Lions Week meeting that we had, where we were told roughly what we were going to do, after it I sat there and I was like, okay, that does not sound like it's gonna be fun at all. And the reason why is because when I heard people talk about, oh, like it's gonna be a missions week and we're gonna focus on missions, in my mind when I heard that, what I heard was, we're only focusing on missionary work, no fun will be involved at all. That's how I heard it. And of course, I had different conversations with different people, and I eventually got to the point of, okay, like I want to have fun on this trip. We're going to Six Flags. Hopefully I'll have fun there. But who knows? I was still quite nervous about it. And I was really nervous the day that we were going to go. And when we were about to go, my dad actually had to tell me, Michael, you're not going to be nervous when you're in the car on the way there, because you're going to be with your friends. And I was still doubting that a lot of what we were going to do was going to be fun. But after we got there the next day, went to Six Flags, and I am not a roller coaster person. I'm not a roller coaster person. And I was thinking, oh boy, please don't let this be one of those situations where I'm just the one sitting on the bench while the roller coaster people ride the huge rides that I'll never get to ride on. But I did. And the first larger roller coaster that we rode on, the Batman, the one where Kay lost her phone, that was probably the most fun 40 seconds of my life. And then the Titan, the biggest one there, 24 stories tall, that ended up also being probably even more fun than the Batman because it was longer. So afterwards, I told Mr. Jonathan, I was like, okay, I'm a roller coaster person now. And so the next day, I'm going to take a minute here to talk about every single time we worshiped when we were there even at Upper Room, later on that day at the Red Balloon Conference or something, I think that's what it was called. And every other time we were worshiping the same songs I have heard for millions of times. I cannot tell you how many times I've heard these songs. And they're simple songs, very simple songs. But it makes all the difference when you and also the people around you are meaning it when they're singing. You can really sense that there's something different going on there, and it's honesty. And over the course of that week, we had the tour of the base, which ended up being a lot more interesting and fun than I thought. And then we ended up working on the base, and then working to help other people with their problems with their houses on Wednesday. And my group, what we were doing is that this lady, her front yard, on one of her fences, there were lots of trees and brush and bushes that we needed to get rid of. Yes, it was a forest. As in, we sawed down smaller trees. That's what we got to. Yes. And when we were doing that for about an hour, well, it felt like an hour, it might have been shorter, but I was using the riding lawnmower to get these large pieces of trees down over to this lady's neighbor's property to throw into his burning pit. And when I was doing it, I was thinking, why am I having so much fun? And why am I so happy literally moving wood from one place to another? That's all I'm doing. That's all I'm doing. And then, of course, after that we had, the campfire and everything, and everybody shared about that. But then when I got home, I was talking to my dad about it, and he said, the reason why you had fun, Michael, was because you were with the people that you love, and they love you, and God was also there as well. And for those of you who have hung out with me enough, you would know that I am an extremely serious, task-oriented person. And I do not like being wrong about things. But I will say this, I was extremely happy that I was wrong about that.
Mira!
Yes.
Okay. Okay. There's a lot I could say about Lions Week. It was really amazing, but I'm going to focus on two things. When we went to Upper Room, I went into the worship with a very depressing attitude. I was felt a lot of shame about sins or different, patterns that I struggle with or whatever. And sometimes I feel with worship, I always just come into it with this really, sad attitude. And so I was just trying to give all this stuff up to God and let go of sin and stuff like that. And then he I heard him say I'm tired of talking about sin and shame with you. I don't want to focus on that right now. And he was don't you know who I am? I'm the God of mercy and joy, and I've already cleansed you of the stuff that you're talking to me about. And so that I felt like that was like a big theme for me the entire week, just like joy, like no matter what was going on, and like we get up early and go to bed, not late, I don't know, but we would, whenever like no matter what we were doing, like I just felt like so much joy, and like serving people brought me like way more joy than it ever has, and so that was amazing. And then the other thing is that I feel like for the past couple of months, I totally forgot. Hold on. Oh, okay. I feel like for the past couple of months, I've always been like, oh, God, like, doesn't want to, like, draw close to me, or, like, he's, like, ignoring me or avoiding me and stuff like that. And then I felt like over this week, I just, like, made time for him and, like, prioritized him. And he just, like, completely changed everything and, like, met me in everything I did. And so sometimes it's, like, I feel like we act like it's a chore to get close to God, but in reality, we just have to, like, let him and make some time for him, because I swear like in the past year I haven't even given him a good 30 minutes of my day, and like, I give him 10 or something in the morning before we went out to Six Flags or something, and then he already wants to meet me and like speak to my heart for the rest of the week until now. And so yeah, that's all.
That was good. Hey, friends and family. What's up? Hello. I just want to say, like, I had, like, a really good time. Like, typically going to, like, camps and stuff, I've gone to, like, one camp before, or, like, on a youth trip during the summer a few times, and honestly did not like it at all. Like, one time I literally bailed and, like, just didn't go, and everyone got mad at me. But anyways, I got back from Lions Week, and I was like, I woke up the next day and I was like, they're not here. And I was like, what the heck is happening? Because it's like, I don't know, we just became like, we already were, but we kind of became more evident that we are family. Like the juniors and seniors like are like my brothers and sisters. And like, we were like literally like the Duggars, just like all the same age. Like if whatever the mom's Duggar name, like birthed all of them at the same time, that was our class. Michelle, whatever. Yeah, so like it was just so fun going to sleep with them, waking up to them, and just like going to go worship, going to eat breakfast, doing lunch, doing dinner, just like it was like a routine that we had every day, and like it was like amazing. Anyways, that was just a side note at the beginning of my talk. So for the main note, I just want to say like this was kind of like laid down in my lap by the Lord, and it's something I've always kind of done, but it was something that was like wow this time, you know what I mean? So like I was just really not intentionally, but I was just happened to be talking to a lot of older guys that a little bit older than me, like, or really older than me. Yeah. But like some guys from YWAM, like the few guys were with us during this trip, like I talked to them, I heard their stories. I just talked to them, and then also talking to our TDA teachers who are with us, and parents that were with us, and just hearing their stories, just talking to them, building relationship, and just also observing the guys around me who are older than me, and like just watching the way like they talk to their kids, they talk to their wives, just like their body language, just observing them and also talking to them and building a relationship. Like it really influenced me in a way where I was like, like I want to be like that when I get to that age. Like I want to do that now, where I like want to be a man. Like I want to be like I want to treat my wife that way. I want to treat my kids that way. Like I want to, like in this next season of me like heading out of high school, like I want to grow up. I want to be a man that God wants me to be. And just watching and talking to the men around me that were older than me, who I didn't really know well, like I was like, wow, like this is like, I could be like that, and I could be like where they are, but also with that influence of having it when I was a lot younger, just growing up in the Lord's guidance of becoming a man, and just like stepping into the things he has for me. It just influenced me in a way like I talk different now, and like I don't know, I just like feel different now because I saw like a man, you know. So I just like encourage you young gentlemen, talk to a man, you know, like talk to not just a man, but like a guy older than you. Like any of the guys up here would be so willing to talk to you and just like talk to us and just like build relationship with us. And also your teachers aren't scary at all. Like Mr. Hibbs is a teddy bear. Just talk to us and just like build a relationship. And also you girls, talk to any of the girls up here, like just, you know, like take advantage of the people God placed in your life and just really let that inspire you and influence you. So yeah.
Josiah. All right, we're not done. I was going to call Samuel, and I am going to call Samuel, but Mr. Olvera needs to leave first. So we're going to hear from him.
I had a great time. I got to go for the weekend in Dallas, and so we had some fun together and some worship together. And for those of you who don't know, just to give you some context, most of these students that are sitting on here, I taught them in junior high. When the seniors, I taught them 2 years, 7th and 8th grade, and then the juniors, I taught them 1 year when they were in 7th grade. So they are very close to my heart. These are my students in my heart. They're my students. And I'm just so proud of you. I'm so proud of you. I'm just watching you, just see how you all have grown up to just love Jesus and how well you love one another. It just is so good for my heart to see. And I know that the Lord is very proud of you as well. And for those of you that I've just met in the recent past, I love you as well, just the same. You're one of mine now, just so that you know that. Yeah, the word that the Lord gave me for them was remarkable, just that they are remarkable young men and women. And that was seen and witnessed by all the staff at YWAM. For us to go there and to inspire them is awesome. That is an awesome thing. And I just want you to know that that's who you are. You are remarkable young men and women who are going to do great things. And wherever you go, you will make a mark with the people that you meet and who you talk to, because that's who you are. It will mark them when they meet you because of who you are and the decisions you've made in your life and how the Lord's presence goes with you. I know you just think, well, I'm just me. You're not just you. It's you and Jesus together, and he's going to do great things with you. So I just want to say that I'm just so proud of you guys, and thanks for including me. And, I'm always available if you need anything. Love you.
All right, so for those of you that don't know, that's Mr. Olvera. He's one of our TDA dads. These guys specifically asked for him to come. It was not easy for him to come. He just started a new job. He was out of town all week, the week before. Mrs. Olvera's been flying solo. It's just a lot. So we need to really be thankful that he was able to come just for those couple of days. All right, I'm going to attempt to call Samuel. And then we're going to try to put the mic to the speaker, which may just blow everything up. I don't know. And then there's a guy in the back with a Buc-ee's hat that should probably come up and say a few things. Samuel?
Can you guys hear me?
Yes. Go for it.
Hey, what's up? Oh, I miss you guys. I'm so bummed that I can't be here with you guys. It sounds like you guys are having a blast in worship earlier. Okay, so my favorite part of Lions Week was, honestly, it was just Jesus calling me back to him as him being my first love. And yeah, it was just falling in love with Jesus again. Almost every day of Lions Week, I would head down into the woods as the sun was rising. Being outside with God and nature is another level of just quiet and intimacy. And it's so amazing. This is where God spoke to me the most over Lions Week. He also spoke to me at other places, but this was a highlight. It wasn't the audible voice that I was expecting or the pictures or words that I heard him, but it was just him whispering to my heart and calling me back to his heart. And it was that whisper that I couldn't hear with all the circumstances and distractions that I immersed myself in previously. And just over Lions Week, it was just finding that still small voice again. And just listening to him whispering to me. Before Lions Week, like I said, I was focused on my circumstances and I was not focused on Jesus. And yeah, it was just God calling me back to falling in love with him again. And so yeah.
All right. Let's get our Bucky's Texan teacher up here. So Mr. Hibbs has a special, unique bond with these guys. He's tortured them. He was very afraid of the pranks that were going to be put on him. Every night he barricaded himself in his room, just expecting the worst. But I'll hand it over to this guy.
So I was really scared, to go on the roller coasters. And I was like, I don't know if I want to do this. No, seriously. Yeah, I didn't. I am not given over to peer pressure, so it did not work. I did not go on the roller coasters, but I did the water ride. I'm weak. So one of the things that was fun for me at Six Flags, since I didn't do the roller coasters, I had plenty of time to sit and watch and listen what felt like 3 million other teenagers that were at Six Flags that day. All you guys' age, watch them, listen to them, walking around. And it made me realize, and the entire week made me realize what an amazing group of young people you are. I was just thoroughly impressed with every single one of you the entire week. And seriously, sitting there at Six Flags, I was thinking, my goodness, if we could just somehow let everyone in Kansas City meet this crew of people, everyone in the city would be like, I want my kids to come to this school, because if they can turn out like you guys, whatever amount of money I have to pay to send them here, I will do it. Because, you guys represent yourselves well, you represent your families well, you represent this school amazingly well. And everything that we did, from the service projects to even just when we go to, places like Bucky's and, what's that little hamburger joint from California? Well, Whataburger, of course, but In-N-Out, yeah, that little place. Everywhere you go, you represent yourself, and everything that you represent it well. And I just want to encourage you guys to keep going with that, but I think you guys are amazing. And I loved getting to be a part of Lions Week, to get to spend it with you guys. You guys are exhausting, my goodness. I don't know how anybody can go that hard for that many days in a row, but you guys have boundless energy. You've made me feel the oldest I've ever felt in my life that week. But, these guys were amazing. And so every one of you, you should be looking forward to Lions Week when it comes your time. So they asked me to do the keynote for their graduation this year. Yes, I apparently smack my lips when I'm trying to be quiet. Thank you. So they asked me to do the keynote speech for their graduation. And I've tortured these guys. I've really, some of you know the story of just how much I've tortured some of these guys. And so every night I was thinking, this is going to be the perfect opportunity for them to get back at me. And I wasn't afraid of them getting back at me. I was afraid of them taking it too far getting back at me. And so I made sure that I like slammed my door every night and locked it so they could not get in. And so one of the last nights, Josiah came up to me. He's like, "Mr. Hibbs, there's a raccoon in your room, in your bunkhouse. You need to go check it out. It's like it's going crazy." Yeah, okay. And he's like, "No, seriously, this is a big raccoon. You got to go check it. This is a wild animal." I was like, "Oh no." So I just knew that something was coming, and so anyway, Mr. Lee and I walked over to my bunkhouse together, and I made sure that when I opened the door, I swung around behind it so that he was the one standing there, was going to receive the barrage of whatever they were going to throw at me. And they had all printed out or drawn on pieces of paper, basically with a message asking me to do their keynote. And they don't know, but I spent like the next 2 hours in tears. But yeah, I like these guys. I like all you guys, but I like these guys too.
All right. They're an amazing group. The YWAM leaders on the bass had so many good things to say over and over. We've got, 20 more minutes. We worship just a little more. Yeah? On your feet. Let's just end this with Thanksgiving. Lions Week's a big deal for our school. It's a big deal for the juniors and seniors.
Guys, so this song, we sang it multiple times over Lions Week. So we're just going to sing it again because it doesn't get old. And the Spirit came and rested on us. And I think he's going to do it here too.